welcome to Behind the Bearcat. This is the podcast where the Northwest Missouri State University Career Services Office chats with Northwest faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends to hear about their career journeys, how they got to Northwest, and how they became Bearcats. I'm Career Services Assistant Director Travis Klein.
And I'm Hannah Christian, the Director of Career Services here at Northwest. And our lovely guest today is,
Linda Standerford, Career Services Coordinator.
Welcome.
yay! We love to
Yay!
interview our own people.
Yes, and what better guest to have for the start of season 6 than our newest staff member? So, Linda, maybe tell us about, kind of how you came to be the new career services coordinator here in career services.
Well, a few months ago, the current Career Services Coordinator, Kristen Little, shared a post about the job opening. And I thought, I could do that. And so here we are
Now, you said shared a post. Was it on Facebook?
on
Where did you see it?
Facebook.
Okay,
Yep, Facebook.
and you were connected to Kristen because you'd previously been working with career services through a different capacity, right?
Yeah, I was participating in the mock interview days, being an interviewer. And yeah,
So you came from the employer side to the backside. Excellent.
absolutely.
So, you know what? We're just going to start way back at the very beginning with young Linda.
Oh, gosh.
Tell us where you're from. And I know you're Bearcat, so tell us where you're from and tell us how you got to Northwest in the first place.
Okay, so I grew up in Humboldt, Nebraska, which is a small town in southeast Nebraska. In high school, I started coming to Northwest as part of music camp experiences. And then through those experiences, I thought, oh, that's the place for me to go to college. So both my husband and I came to college at Northwest, graduated from Northwest, and
What did you study? Sorry, interrupt all the time. So you wanted to study vocal music?
initially, I came to Northwest, yes, majoring in vocal music. That lasted a semester, and I realized that that wouldn't be an ongoing good choice for me to be a music teacher. So I switched to business, and yeah.
What about that first semester experience? Was it the practicing? Was it the coursework? What was it about that first experience that made you be like, "Oh, no, that's not the major for me?"
So it's pretty important when you're a music teacher that you play the piano well, and
Ah.
that was not my forte.
Did you play it and not well, or did you not play
Pretty much did not play it.
it? Okay, so you graduated from Northwest. Keep going.
So
I'm
I
sorry,
took
interrupted your journey.
So I took the longer path to graduation. I attended Northwest for 3 years. Didn't know for sure what I wanted my major to be when I graduated. So after 3 years, got married, entered the work world, and it wasn't until later when I came back to work at Northwest that I then started taking classes again and eventually figured out the major that I wanted to graduate with, which was organizational communication.
Was there a career services function or office, or did you know about career services coming through Northwest the first time around?
Um, I did have some interaction with career services initially. I remember Martha Cooper. Did you ever know Martha Cooper, who was part of career services way back in the day in the 80s? Um, so I think there were some class assignments we had to do where we had to work with career services at the time.
I don't know. I'm sorry to co-opt your interview here, but I don't know if I've ever publicly stated this. Probably I have somewhere. Somewhere Travis will find it in the archives, but I famously took a C in a class instead of actually coming to the mock interview day assignment that I was supposed to go to as a requirement for my class. So not
Wow.
only did I not go to career services, I willfully chose not to go to career services. So
I believe you mentioned that in that first episode when we just
Did
kinda
I?
interviewed each other, I think, yeah, because we both talked about how that was your experience with career services, and I walked into career day in Lambkin and then immediately turned around and walked back out, and that was my experience with career services in undergrad as well, so we both actively sought to
Oh,
not participate, and now we're the director and the assistant
Look
director.
at us.
It's funny how things work out,
oh
folks.
my
Yeah.
goodness. That's funny.
So what was your first position working after you had decided, I'm married, I'm gonna go out into the world and work? What did you start out doing?
Um, I found a job with um a company. They were called CDS, if I remember correctly. It was called Communications Data Services. We were living in Walnut, Iowa, and this company was in Harlan, Iowa. And what they did was process magazine subscriptions. And so all day long, we typed numbers, either canceling or starting magazine subscriptions. And this was not the job of my dreams. I'll just say that right out. I fortunately I didn't have to stay there long because I found another job in Atlantic, Iowa, because I was dreaming in my sleep of typing numbers, and
Whoa.
it was kind of driving me crazy. So I got a job in Atlantic, Iowa, at a photo typesetting company where I was a customer service assistant and packaged up all the large page negatives. They focused on medical textbooks,
Hmm.
which was quite interesting to proofread the medical textbooks.
So the reason I'm asking this question is I want to walk it forward as you move forward with your story. What was your strategy or your like what did you actually do when you say I went out and looked for a job or I went out and got a job? Like what did you actually step by step do?
So this was back in the day that jobs were posted in newspapers. And so you just scanned all the newspapers and
Did you call them? Did you mail in your resume? Did you walk in? How did you
I know some places I walked in resumes, and I think the Harlan job, I think I mailed that one in.
So, folks, I just want you to know people did used to mail their resumes to places to get jobs.
The waiting was just interminable.
You think it's
Yeah, because
bad now.
I would imagine when you mail a resume in, it's you kinda just hope for the best. It's really, we hear a lot of students complain like they do an online application and don't hear back for weeks. Well, imagine if you mailed it off, you don't even know if they got it or if it got eaten by a dog on the mail route, like, you just hope for the best. So,
Right.
So, walk us back through connect, those first couple of customer service jobs. I know eventually we get back to Northwest. So how
Mhm.
did that end up happening with you and your family?
So we were living in Walnut, Iowa when I was working at the company in Atlantic, Iowa. And then eventually my husband, who taught music, he decided to move to Mount Air, Iowa. And so while we were in Mount Air, I worked for a short period at a bread dough pizza place because that was the only job opening that was actually advertised that I could find to apply for. Um, Learned some pizza throwing technique, which I was still not good at.
We should have had you demonstrate.
No, it's not good. My pizzas came out looking like footballs. So then I wound up working at Graceland College in the registrar's office. And I did that for, oh gosh, maybe 6 years.
and what were you
So
doing in the registrar's office? Because I think people do that's one of those offices I feel like people even people that work at a university don't really understand like how much I know because my wife works in the registrar's office. I know lots of what they do, but I feel like a lot of people think they do the catalog and maybe they register students for classes and that's all they think of. But they do. Registrar's office does a lot of stuff. So, what were you
Right.
actually doing in the Graceland registrar's office?
So I was the front desk assistant. And so this was back in the days of you did paper dropping ads for classes. So students would come in saying what they dropped or add, and I would type it in the computer and make those changes for them. We handled transcript requests. So they would come in and fill out the paperwork, and we would print off those transcripts for them. Um, Folks that were alumni, they'd call in and we would mail their transcripts. Later on, I was the person handling the transfer students. I would evaluate their transcripts on what things would transfer from the other schools, and I would input that into the computer. And I was also the person working with NAIA eligibility. I had to go through their transcripts and see that they met all the requirements to be able to compete.
At what point, I mean, I guess you're obviously still here at Northwest, right? Working at an
Right.
educational institution. And you started at Graceland and then you came back here.
Mhm.
Did it ever like at what point did you decide that you kind of liked working in this environment? Like what was it about higher education that attracted you to this type of work?
So working with college age I think keeps you young. It keeps you up to date on the things that are going on in life.
And it's certainly never boring. So, new problems every
Exactly.
day.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're at the registrar's office.
Mhm.
How do you get to Northwest? Get back here.
So after about 6 years in Mount Air, then my husband decided it was time to switch to a different school, and so we moved to Bedford, Iowa, which put us within a half-hour distance from Maryville. And so there was an opening in the ID office at Northwest. So I worked in the ID office for a year, then the counseling center for 2 years, and then I switched over to the development center and worked there for like 14, 15 years.
When you were moving around on campus, in
Mhm.
those first couple of moves, um, I think sometimes people kind of wonder about that. Like, were you looking for a different role, like a different type of work? Were you looking for more pay? Were you looking for, a better desk chair? I'm just
All of the above. No. Um, Going from the ID office to the counseling center was an increase in title and pay. And then the same in going from the counseling center to the talent development center. It was an increase
so
in title and pay.
each of those was sort of a promotional step forward for you.
Right.
And so you worked for quite a while at the TDC before you decided to go back and finish your degree, right? You'd been there for a
Yes.
bit.
Yes.
So what's the thought process behind I'm an adult. I've had many jobs at this point kind of moving up. Like what makes you want to go back to school?
So I always wanted to finish my degree because I always wanted to be able to say that I accomplished that. And my boss at the Talent Development Center had encouraged me to go back and finish it. And so I chipped away at a class at a time. Um, I think I had, gosh, I want to say it was like 12 hours worth of gen eds to complete
Ah,
as far as that went. And then of course figuring out for sure what major I wanted
yeah.
to complete.
So how did you find OrgCom or how did you decide that that was what so if you started out in one major, switched to another one, kind of
Mhm.
what was your process of discovering what you wanted to do?
So I was experimenting with classes that would help me in my job at the Talent Development Center. So, like, I took a class on learning and memory that was extremely interesting, and there was a class in the communication department that really, really interested me, and that's what got me down that path of organizational communication.
Hmm.
I feel like there's a lot of business majors who would be really successful in org-com, but they don't even know that it's a thing because they're in separate buildings. They're in different schools. They're kind of separated enough that they don't know that the two exist. So there are org-com
Right,
majors would be really good business majors, and business majors would be really. It's interesting sometimes that what the overlaps are with that.
right.
So what's the difference? I mean, I'm over there studying science.
Hmm.
In org-com, like, now that I'd never even had that thought cross through my brainwaves until just now.
So for me, one of the advantages of switching to communications, when I got a BS degree, I didn't have to take statistics.
Ah, the
And
secrets
I
are
don't
out,
I
folks.
don't think that would have gone well. So it was double bonus finding a major that I didn't have to take statistics.
Hmm.
I think, and I've not. I took a MBA class, and then I'm in strategic comm masters now, so I've taken several comm classes and a couple in org comm. It seems to me, and again, I'm not an expert, so if I'm wrong, put it in the comments. Let us know. But it does seem like business is kind of more. It is more dollars and cents. The statistics part of it matter. The probabilities matter. The profit margins, and org comm seems to be more about how the organization works, how to optimize the workforce, how to effectively communicate, strategically communicate, if that's in some ways. So I feel like that's kind of the difference is the approach that it takes. It's very similar kind of subject matter, but it's from different sides. One's from the
Hmm.
business side and one's from the comm side and the how to kind of enrich from within kind of thing. Because org com I've kind of found surprisingly, because I never would have considered org com as an undergrad for a major. I was a broadcasting kid and was like, oh, I like to get my hands dirty and do practical things. And now as an adult taking classes, it's like, oh, the org com is really fascinating because I can absolutely directly relate it to my work here and how we work with stakeholders, how we talk to each other, how we work with our students. It all very directly relates. So it doesn't surprise me you working in the TDC where you're trying to work with customers and that org com seems like, ooh, this is a really good fit for what I'm doing and what I like. And then I can take those skills back because I find that same thing with the classes I'm in right now too.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe the two.
What type of work did you do in the TDC?
So I started out as the office manager, and kind of I was the only aside from the director, I was the only full-time staff in the talent development center the whole time I worked there. And so we had a total of around 50 students a semester that worked with us. So, in a variety of ways, I had to make sure that all the units were working together. And of course, when you've got that many students, you've got to go through all the hiring processes, all the paperwork, all the timesheets, all of that stuff. And then, of course, assisting the director in whatever assistance she needed. And then I also served on various committees um, in that role. And eventually, I became went from being the office manager to being the coordinator of the talent development center.
Another sort of
Yeah.
promotion there. Fun fact, Linda supervised me at the TDC at some point. I was a pretty forgettable student, so I'll forgive her if she doesn't remember that time. Um, it was on the 3rd floor of admin, up where the trio programs are now, and it was a
Hmm.
hop in place. And surely Linda can shout out some of the other folks up there who were memorable SI leaders and tutors and that's part of the reason we brought her back because she has such an extensive network of working with students for that time frame. Incredible, incredible students.
So
What
who was the grad assistant that oversaw the SI leaders while you were an SI leader?
I do not remember.
Oh man, I was hoping you would.
I don't remember. Uh that's gonna take a little bit of brain research, Linda.
Okay.
I'll have to go
Okay.
back and think about that one. Hmm. I worked in the TDC from 2003, fall of 2003, I think, to I worked fall of 2003, I was in biology, spring of 2004, I was in botany, and then fall of 2004, I was the botany SI. I started out as Gen Bio SI for Dr. Schaefer, and then I was the botany SI for 2 semesters. So whoever was the GA in '03, '04,
I'll
I
have
don't
to go
remember
back
who
and
it
check my
was. I know.
records.
Shout out to whoever you were that I can't remember who you were.
Call us.
Yeah. Um, so and then you pivoted over at some point, and you where we picked you back up from was working for Nottoway County Services.
Mhm.
So, taking all of that again, because when I came back to Northwest, I was the GA, who was coordinating the SI leaders. So, that hiring experience is just super important in terms of, like, working in career services or working in other roles. So tell us kind of a little bit about your work in Nottoway County Services as well.
So when I started at Nottoway County Services, I was hired as a service coordinator, and Nottoway County Services works with people with developmental disabilities. And as a service coordinator, we helped connect them to resources that they need, that they and their families need, and that can vary greatly depending on what their needs are.
So were you
Do you
traveling for that role
travel?
then?
Oh,
Yeah. We have the same
Yes.
question.
Yes, thank you. So Nottoway County Services provides services to 7 counties in Northwest Missouri. So as a service coordinator, one of our duties was to go to the homes or wherever the person lived and check up on the services that they've been approved for to make sure that the services are being provided as intended. So, sort of in an auditing type capacity. So, some folks we had to go visit monthly, other folks we had to go visit quarterly. It just depended on the kind of services they were receiving. So, about 1 week a month, I was out on the road traveling in Northwest Missouri. So, as somebody who grew up in Nebraska, I became very familiar with a lot of the little towns in Northwest Missouri.
and then
Really
you
familiar with our lovely
slowly
roads too.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yes.
I didn't realize Nottoway County Services provided services for a 7 county region. That's a little bit
The service coordination unit does, yes.
huh. That's a little what's the word I'm trying to help me out here? That's a
Misnomer.
little yeah, a little bit of a misnomer, a little confusing, I guess.
So when
Learning a lot of things today.
they started as providing group homes for individuals, so residential living. So that was all they started as.
Mm,
So at that time, Nottoway County Services made sense as a name. And
sure.
then when service coordination came on board, which was a different kind of service, that's where the 7 county service area came into play.
And Nottoway's surely the largest of those counties too, because we're a gigantic county here in the northwest corner of the state too. So biggest one wins kind of thing.
So then you moved kind of into some other roles. Kind of talk us through sort of over that decade, sort of your transition from position to position, and maybe tell us
Yeah.
why.
So I was in the service coordination position for 5 years, and I should have started off by saying that was a very different job experience for me. So it took quite a bit of adjustment because it was a type of work that I was not familiar with. But after about a 9 month transition period, I really latched onto it and really enjoyed it, really enjoyed working with the people that I helped. So then I was invited to switch over to the behavior services department. We were starting a new service that was called, let me see if I can remember what it was called, person centered consultation, something along those lines. So we went in and helped people who had some behavior concerns and helped them and their caregivers try to find ways to better work through those problems. And then after about a year, we got approved to offer a different kind of behavior services that was more hands-on, by folks who were certified behavior analysts. And
As
so,
I was gonna say, like
yeah,
behavior technicians or something like that, behavior
yes.
analysts.
We had registered behavior technicians and behavior analysts. And so I became eventually the program manager of the behavior services department. So served in an administrative capacity for behavior services.
So, in terms of that sort of like leadership role, I imagine you were then not traveling as much. You were probably coordinating the people who are traveling, right?
Right. Well, they coordinated their own schedules, but I did the administrative stuff as far as overseeing the billing and the processes, hiring, supervising the registered behavior technicians initially, training, and then eventually I began to branch out in the agency and start helping doing more work with human resources, helping them redo their orientation for the agency, and eventually started giving orientations to all the new employees that started at the agency.
That's one
Because
thing
Linda
too.
likes to hire people.
Yes.
So that's what
I
And I don't think
do.
people realize, like, Nottaway County Services is like, they hire a lot of college students. Like,
A
I know,
lot.
we worked with you when you were at the agency, and, like, students coming in and working and doing different things. Can you talk through some of those student roles? Maybe if somebody listening is a human services or psychology major or wants to be in the helping professions, maybe they could kind of think about them for a job in the future, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have direct support professionals that provide assistance to folks that live in the group homes. And there's also personal assistants that may go work with folks that live in their parents' home or their grandparents' home. Those folks are assisted, like, to get out during the day, get out and do some community networking, do activities, take them shopping. So you're just supporting people in their daily living skills, maybe helping them learn new skills. So yeah, we assist people in that way. The behavior services department, the folks that are registered behavior technicians, you don't have to have a degree to to apply for that position. They train you to do that job. We loved hiring folks that were in the social services areas because they really tend to grasp on the kind of information and the kind of work really well. So we like the psych soc majors.
So, Linda's hiring 50 college students a semester here. How did you
Well, there wasn't turnover that high every semester, thank goodness.
That's the cumulative total, right? Not the every
I'm being
semester.
I'm being
Yeah,
facetious.
we tried to keep them at least 2 years.
um, so talk to us about how you got plugged in with career services, sort of on that side of things. Julie, we reached out to you. I don't even know how did we get plugged in with all the Nottaway County Services folks.
Oh, I think you guys reached out and sent emails about getting involved in the mock interview day and career day. Well, I think it probably started with career day
Okay.
and then it branched out from that.
I know a couple of our local job fairs, they were at those as well, and
Mhm.
Yeah,
they always were a popular table because they had ramen noodles and candy and
that's
stuff like that for
right.
the college students, so they were always a popular
Macaroni.
destination. Yeah.
This was not Linda's first college student attracting position, so she knew what she was doing. I just wanted to say that so I can look at me patting myself on the back. Look at
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Um,
I can't take credit for the ideas of the ramen or the macaroni. I have to give props to other folks that came up with that idea. It was genius.
I'm interested. I think you're the first person we've had on that has been a mock interviewer on the other side of the camera. Like, we do these events, we encourage students to interview. What was it like as an employer working with students that, you're not trying to hire, you're doing it for their enrichment. So you're really you're
Mhm.
kind of giving your time, but you're also trying to make them better. What was that experience like from the employer side?
Well, for me in particular, having drawing on my past experience working with the students at the Talent Development Center, it just kind of took me back to that time period working with college students and helping them better themselves and do what we could to help them achieve their dreams. So, I like encouraging people to um, to better themselves and reach higher and
So now we're full circle back to where Kristen posted our opening. Again, I'm gonna ask you again. Like what was your thought process where you were like, huh, this might be a good idea? I'm just very interested in hearing like you just want to we're like gonna take that leap because that just seems like another leap to make there.
yeah, when I saw that post, I thought, huh, it was kind of time for a change from what I was doing. And, I read the posting and read the job description and I just thought, wow, that's really kind of up my alley. What the heck? Let's apply and just see where it goes.
And ironically, we were interviewing candidates and we were like, this is right up her alley.
Uh-huh.
Hence why she is in the role now. So now talk to me from you started in June. So you've been here June to July, July to August. We really haven't done any events yet, right? We've just been spending our summer kind of
Just
trying
been
to get you
talking about them.
onboarded. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Getting you onboarded and prepared. But tell us a little bit about the role. Like, what do you think so far in the first, I mean, I am your boss and I'm also interviewing you and there's
No pressure.
in public, no pressure. Hi Kim. I know you're listening. Kim Mildward it was asking me when behind the Bearcat. We'll cut that out, but
I may
he's
not.
asking me about that. um but yeah, tell me, how's the first couple of months been? Getting back in the old saddle.
So I have really appreciated the slow start to the climb of the craziness that's going to come because
That
getting
started today. Yeah.
yes, getting reacclimated to all the varieties of new software that the university has. There's a software for everything. And so, yeah, and making sure everything's working right and all the systems are communicating with each other. And I know which software to go for this duty and this drive to go for that duty. And yeah, because it's a little crazy.
It is a little crazy. Don't give away all our secrets there,
Okay.
Linda. It is a little crazy here. Um, but also it's gotta be good, feel good, be good to be back among I mean, you worked with these people for almost 20 years at some point. Some of them are still here. So
Oh, yeah.
such an interesting like being a new person, but you're really not new. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, it's great seeing the people that are still working here that worked there then. I've gotten a lot of hugs and yeah, it's been great coming back.
so what now we're gonna do fun predictions with Hannah. What do you
Oh
predict?
gosh.
Like, what are you looking the most forward to for fall of this year?
I mean, I think career day is probably the pinnacle of the semester for our office, so it will be interesting to see how it goes from this viewpoint as opposed to being on the employer side where I just show up for a couple hours and then leave.
A little more than a few
Well,
hours work. It
it
is
might not be as well structured from this side.
Career day is nice because it is the semester kind of builds. It's like a roller coaster. Like, you can hear the cart going up chain by chain, and then you get to the top for career day, and then it's kind of a fun ride down after that because then you have Thanksgiving, Christmas, and oh, now we're on break. So it is kind of a nice point there for sure. And in career day is one of those things we've done it for so long that there's a lot of work involved with it, but it's also a well-oiled machine. So stuff has to really go bad for it to go bad, I feel like. So maybe I'll knock on
Do
my
not
fake
jinx
wood
us,
desk,
Travis.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we've got it down pretty pat at this point. So it's easy to go and get everything set up and then have fun at career day too. So I've had a lot more fun at career day in the last 2 years than I ever would have thought possible previously. So
Do we need to give a plug for career day?
it
We
is
do.
October
Let's
2nd, I
see.
believe, right? Or did I get that day
It
wrong?
is.
9 to 1.
Yes, October 2nd.
All right, excellent. I can put that on screen. So yes. So
um
absolutely. Students come to career day, faculty come to career day, employers, if you're hearing this before the day of, register for career day. We want to see you all there. Yes.
I will say so. Another plug here. Last spring, we had 20% more students show up as we've gotten better at explaining why it's important to come. We've always had a good number of employers who come, and the vibe at Career Day is just really good. It's
Mhm,
everybody's happy to be there. They're happy to see each other. Everybody wants to hire Bearcats. Bearcats want to get a job.
mhm.
So there's just a lot of really good energy and student numbers kind of post COVID, it was really pretty flat in terms of
It's
attendance.
rough.
But the last couple semesters, we've really had lots of students are getting involved sort of at the freshman sophomore level, and they're seeing the importance of coming and talking to employers. So it is a really fun day, and honestly, staff members and faculty members can come to career day as well. I mean,
Mhm.
you might not be looking to be an officer in the Marines, but I guarantee you, if you show up, they'll consider you as a candidate.
They'll give
So
you a keychain at the very least. So,
Well, and I've observed, current students that go to career day and then see their alumni friends that are there for
mhm.
career day as employers. So that's always awesome to see those um, embraces and get togethers and reunions.
And that's a nice
yeah,
thing
it's
about this
awesome.
job is after a couple of years, the students you have either worked with through our office or just through other ways, you see them show up as recruiters, and that's really nice too. So we have one
Yeah.
former GA that comes back every year, and every time I see him, it's like, oh, it's great to see you. So it is. It's really cool to get to do that. So
Yeah.
all right.
Any final words of wisdom?
Oh gosh.
You have certainly wait, I'm gonna have an intro for your words of wisdom. You have certainly navigated the work world like it was you're a fish in water. Like there never seems to be a Linda who's out of a job. Like it doesn't matter. Linda can get a job on Mars. So like I know you have somewhere in there some deep wisdom that you can share with us.
Okay, so I've got a couple things. So I would say over the years, make sure you retain all your job descriptions, whether in paper form or electronic, and that helps you build your resume for the future. And having a master copy always available so that you can edit as needed to suit the job that you're applying for. The other thing would be don't ever be afraid to put your best outfit on, take your resume, and walk it in someplace. That never hurts. I have unexpectedly gotten jobs that way for walked into a place that I didn't even know they had an opening, and I got a call back for a position I never even would have thought of applying for, but they looked at my resume and thought, "Hey, she would be great for this." So, yeah, you just never know.
Yeah, I think
I
there's something
love
to be
that.
said for being brave, especially as a college graduate or a college student, to not be afraid to call somebody or to go to career day and stick your hand out and shake their hand and talk to them. Like so few people do that now that when you have the gumption to do it, it's memorable.
Mhm.
So be memorable. That's always important. So
Yeah.
And Linda was brave. She wanted to join our team. That was the most brave thing.
and
Oh,
we are so glad to have you as part of our team
yes.
and excited for where
Aw,
you take our student employees. And yes, I think it's going to be a fantastic year, and we're definitely looking forward to getting things going and letting you kind of sink your teeth into the role. So,
thank you. I am so excited to be back at Northwest as well as being back with or being together with this team.
all right, excellent. Well, that will do it for
Ka-chung, ching.
season 6, episode 1. As I forget how the order goes, I was almost British and did it backwards. Season 6, episode 1 of Behind the Bearcat. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk to you next time. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, be sure to give us a thumbs up below. That helps out. Also, if you've not done so yet, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Also, we'd love to connect with you on social media. You can find Behind the Bearcat on Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Plus, the audio podcast comes out on Fridays on all the major podcast platforms. Thanks again for watching Behind the Bearcat, and as always, we'll talk to you next time.